Nintendo. Right, we're live. We're back.
We're
Here we
live,
are.
so hi guys.
Hello.
Trevor,
Episode 6.
six
I'm
of
Trev.
Full Time
Yeah.
Shop Radio.
Episode 6, no less. Not 5, not 7, but 6. And
Episode
I'm with
six. That's
you.
what we're talking about.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, Stu, you're here again, as usual.
As usual, yeah. I'm back. I mean, I think it's been about 2 months since we did the last one, but I think we've got to make the commitment to do at least two a month, haven't we, from now on?
Yeah, we had a little bit of a run, didn't we? That was good from the first one, and then obviously life
Yeah,
got in the way recently. But yeah, we should really try and do two of them. As we still kind of threaten to do an actual video-based one as well sometime
I
soon.
think we've got to do that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult, isn't it? Because sort of we have to take a bit more time. It's not something you can do
yeah.
easily, at home, which you can do with this, which is the great thing about this sort of format. But we do want to do a video version of it.
Mm.
It'll probably run alongside, but that's for when we can finally find time to do it. But yeah, that's the aim, isn't it? Two a month.
Two a month, and we'll try and stick to that. But it might be even a situation where we do three a month. It's just when there's stuff to talk about, when we've been playing games, it's
Yeah,
just get a bit of spare moment, and we're both busy guys, and you can probably tell from the production quality that we're not professional podcasters who earn
well,
thousands of pounds in advertising revenue, and obviously there's the only advertising that goes on is telling people to go to my shop. That's about it, really.
pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's hard, for you, especially you've kind of got two jobs, haven't you? You've got the shop that you have to keep an eye on,
Yeah,
and you've got your own job, sort of day job type job. Whereas I've got my day job type job, and it's hard to when you have an evening when you just want to sort of sit and chill out sometimes. But we enjoy these chats, so it's a good way of doing it. But yeah,
so
cool.
it's one of those things. We'll have the chat or something down the pub, or anyway, or over Facebook about games and
Yeah,
things like that. So this will go on anyway. It's just if you guys want to listen, you can listen to us chatting on about games. But I have tried to make it a bit more structured.
yes,
So if we
yes, plan.
move swiftly into the news, and I think a couple of evenings ago, Destiny won the Game of the Year at the British Academy Video Game Awards.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
what do you think of that then?
well, I mean, I think it came as a little bit of a shock.
Yeah,
I think that's fair to say. And Destiny for me has been, I mean, I want a game with a story, and this is very much. It seems like a bit of a grind. This game, so I was very surprised at winning when there are other games like Mario Kart 8, even Call of Duty, Dragon Age, Inquisition, Shadow of Mordor. There were
yeah,
so many games that I believed were better. And that's not even really thinking about Smash Brothers. There's so many games that, in my
yeah,
opinion, are better than Destiny. But with Destiny is I put something on the shop's Facebook page saying, "Oh, well done to Destiny winning Game of the Year." About 12 responses to it, and
yeah,
11 of those responses were, "Oh, it's rubbish. Oh, how did that win? It's just grinding. It's just this," and really negative. But there was one person who said, "Oh, me and my friend, we play Destiny every night. We absolutely love it." And the same goes down to the guy who works in the shop, Lucas. He's really positive about Destiny and plays it. I think he's into Evolve now and Dying Light. But for a
yeah,
long time, he was playing Destiny with his group of friends. They would meet up on there. They would go through it, and it would be a very, very enjoyable experience for them. So I don't want to say it's completely a load of tripe, and it's graphically it's very good, but some people liked it. I think the majority was a little bit undecided, but it did come as a very big shock.
yeah.
Destiny win Game of the Year.
Yeah, I've never played it, so probably my opinion probably doesn't count for much. But it never appealed to me in the first place. I'm not a massive FPS person. I'll play Call of Duty. I played Call of Duty. I played Advanced Warfare and finished the single player recently, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, I know plenty of people that just play FPSs, and that's all they ever play. They don't play any other games. Just like there's people that only play sports games, and there's other people that play, whatever, or JRPGs, and that's all they ever play. I'm not really into. I'm not a big RPG fan generally. I'll play sort of the lighter ones like Zelda and Elder Scrolls. Um, but I'm not. But to combine that with an FPS, so they're kind of two genres that I'm not crazy about. Combine into one, so that's not
Yeah.
going to make me run out and buy it really. But 2014, which is the sort of the kind of the fiscal year, isn't it? I guess the game of the year covers in like a.
I think it's the calendar year from.
Is it literally January 2014 to
Oh,
January 2015? It
I
wasn't.
mean,
It wasn't a
that,
great year for like amazing, mind blowing. This is the best game ever sort of games. The year before was you had Grand Theft Auto 5 and you had.
oh, of course, yeah.
I mean, that's just two. There's probably others that I've missed, but there was them two. Well, there was Mario 3D World and all that sort of stuff.
Mm,
Whereas this year's been basically sequels, although ironically, Destiny is a new IP,
mm.
sort of use MCV language, but yeah, it wasn't a great year. And Destiny was probably a good game, but I'm not sure it was the game of the year. I couldn't really say what was in saying that, but that's probably because a lot of the games come out this year were just sequels. So I don't
Yeah,
think that was, you know.
nothing's really stood out for me.
No, I mean,
Um,
I'll name a game. Alien Isolation, I probably might say, would be mine, even though it's rock hard and pisses me off. It was bloody addictive, and it was the best Alien game that's ever come out. So I would probably say that, and even that wasn't completely mind-blowing, Last of Us slash Grand Theft Auto level of amazing. But at least it's kind of, well, I would rather play that than it was a good twist on the FPS genre. Right? It wasn't the fetch quest, ridden thing that you've got in Destiny. And it wasn't just running down predefined corridors and being,
mm,
pushed along a storyline like you are with a single player Call of Duty these days. It was very, almost Far Cry like, but in a space station. Um, so yeah, it wasn't a good year for that really.
no, fingers crossed this year should be a lot better. I mean, that goes on to actually the next little bit of news. Talking about good games for this year.
Yeah.
Um, Trevor, what do you think about Uncharted 4? And now, of course, that was something for the PS4. I was personally, I've got that in my my little calendar of games I'm going to buy this year. But that's actually dropped back to next year. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I've pre-ordered it already because I'm one of my favourite genres is third-person adventure games, which is having a bit of a golden age at the moment, isn't it?
Mm,
That
yeah.
Tomb Raider, which is brilliant, and there was the three previous Uncharted and the one on the Vita, which were great. And there's obviously a Last of Us as well. So yeah, it's kind of it's just a good genre. It's like a movie. They're the most movie-like of all the genres.
Mm,
I know people say, "Oh yeah, but in FPS, you're in the art, you're in the head of the character. You feel like you're involved." But I
mm.
kind of feel more involved in a storyline with a third-person game. But yeah, so yeah, I pre-ordered it. And there's also a very similar game coming out for the Xbone, which is Quantum Break, which has also been delayed several times. I think it's coming out this year. And then you've got Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is Xbone and PC. I'll probably get the PC version because that'd be better, which is at the end of the year. So I thought it was going to be Uncharted versus Tomb Raider at Christmas, but looks like it isn't now. So Tomb Raider's potentially going to have the market to itself. But yeah, no, the delay is a bit disappointing. Although there's been a couple of disappointing things already. I mean, there was that amazing teaser video from last summer, which was Nathan Drake like waking up face down in like a pool, and then and getting up and sort of waking himself up and had like a Sully, I think it was, narrating over the top of it,
Mm.
Sullivan from the previous games. and it looked amazing. Then you got like the gameplay trailer, and it looked like they'd really downgraded the graphics. I mean, it still looked good, but certainly Nathan Drake's appearance was a lot more. Well, he was just a lot less detailed and a lot less defined, and so that was a bit like. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of videos and things about the Order 1886.
Yeah.
And that's come out and it's actually blown me away. The
Yeah, that's
graphics
the one.
of that game.
Yeah, it's another third-person story game. Yeah, I actually want to get that.
And for me, maybe the actual graphical quality of that game, and then the backlash that got for being, a relatively short game. I think people,
Yeah, actually,
if you,
5 hours. That's what people were saying it was, wasn't it?
the 5 hours keeps on going around, but I've heard people actually realistically, it's more like 7.
Because I picked up all the Uncharted's on the cheap because I finally got around to playing them all. I'm
Yeah.
at the second one right now, but Drake's Fortune took me 4 nights to do, and that's not me saying I'm going to complete it in super quick time. That was me just playing it on medium difficulty. I did it in 4 nights. Now, that I don't know if that's because games now are more complex, although it's not that long ago. I mean, it's 8 years old now, Drake's Fortune, but it's not. Even so, games haven't really, in terms of length, increased dramatically from then. I mean, if you want a long game, people were moaning about Alien Isolation being too long. Okay, it's 20 odd hours, and it is actually too long. Because I'm pissed off. I'm getting on board of it now. But yeah, people are disappointed about the length of it. But I kind of like games that you kind of, with those third-person games, you are kind of taken from point A to point B with it's not a sandbox thing at all. It's a bunch of one corridor after the other. You basically get to the next corridor, clear the bad guys, quick time event, next corridor, clear the bad guys, cutscene. That's basically what they are.
Mm.
So you can't really have it more than 8 hours, really. But yeah, I mean, did you find it too short?
What's that? The Order?
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, I played it for a while in the shop, and obviously I've seen videos about it. But I mean, I'm playing a few other games at the moment, which we'll come to a bit later.
Yeah.
And it's the cutscenes literally are the actual gameplay, and the cutscenes look amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what it sort of really grabs me, sort of about the Order. And it's one of those games. In all honesty, I will pick it up, and I'll go right. 3 nights, I'll get this done, and I'll probably really enjoy it. But what my worry was, the actual Uncharted 4 was quite, what they had planned was, oh my god, this is only going to take about 6 hours to do.
Yeah.
So let's try and make it a little bit longer, because the Order had a real backlash, and that affected sales.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying the Uncharted should just stick in a few extra a few extra missions and a few more enemies just to slow down the whole process. But I like to know the reason why it's actually been held back.
Well, I don't have a problem with it being held back if it's just glitch fixing, because I'd rather have the game come out and be perfect late than come out on time and be bug ridden. We all know. I think a lot of games have been delayed lately, like Street Fighter 5. What else? Project Cars have all been delayed like recently, and I think it's because they're all scared shitless of being another Ubisoft because of what happened with Assassin's Creed Unity. So yeah, people are worried about that now. Whereas maybe a year ago, Uncharted 4 might have just come out, and there would have been and Halo, of course, Master Chief Collection had big issues when it came out. So as a result of those 2 games, I think people have been a little bit more cautious. Like Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PC has been delayed as well.
Yeah, I don't mind games being delayed to make sure they're right. And
yeah, same here. I'll happily take a delay if it means it will come out fixed and perfect and without any bugs.
But it's all these things that the publisher's got to make a commercial decision.
Well, it's the shareholders, isn't it? That
out. Nobody wants to play. If they brought out FIFA in February and not September when it usually comes out.
Yeah.
I don't know. That would make a huge.
Well, sports
Uh,
games are weird, aren't they? Because they have to come out in a very specific window because of the football season. So FIFA's got to come out in September, no matter what, because that's when people are thinking about football the most. The season's just started; everyone's excited about that. They've had no football unless there's been a World Cup. They've had no football, no league for football for a few months, so they're all gagging for it. They've played the old FIFA to death. They're tired of the old kits and players. So there's a very short window. If it came out in November or December, it might even be disastrous for EA because either that or everybody end up playing Pro Evo.
yeah,
If that came out in time and the other game didn't.
I'll tell
Uh,
you. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so it's even more important for a game like FIFA to come out in time, whereas Uncharted isn't tied to an event happening that it has to be linked with. So they're a bit more. Well, I suppose it's the usual. If you think a game is going to be finished by the summertime, they tend to delay it until sort of September, October, because you get people that it's just before Christmas, so people are willing to buy games. At the same
Mm.
time, it's just before Christmas because people might buy them to give to their kids for Christmas. So yeah, seasonal reasons, but there's no marketing reason to delay it like a FIFA game would have.
I heard today talking about football games actually. Um,
Which we never do.
in America, there's this guy, and every year he makes cartridges for the Madden games. Well, that's how I'm interpreting it. So you can buy a hacked ROM version of the Madden game, but each year he'll call it Madden 14, Madden 15, but it'll be the Super Nintendo version,
He's
and
up
he gets into all of the code, and he'll actually, I can't quote any players, but he'll put all the latest players at the New England Patriots or
there. He'll
Seattle
update the
Seahawks, and then you'll buy the game off it. You'll still play. He can't. Obviously, he's not an expert coder, so he can't change the game or any rulings that may have changed. All he does is change the players and the kits if the teams have changed colours. But I thought, oh, that's a good idea. I think I know someone who would buy that every year, Trevor.
It's weird. It's funny because I was only a kid, obviously when the sort of Madden games were in the 16-bit Madden games. So I wasn't even into American football then. I only had eyes for soccer in those days.
Yeah,
But I appreciate there'd be people that feel the old games were better and the new games are crap. I actually enjoyed Madden 15. I think it's a lot better than the year before. But yeah, I could imagine. I think that's a great idea because if people like the classic gameplay and graphics and all the retro nostalgia awesomeness that you get from that, but they want the latest players as well. I think if this guy can do it, I think it's a great idea.
so would you spend if someone said to you, Trevor, here's £40, I can get you a cartridge with FIFA 96 on, but it's actually FIFA 15, and we had all of the up-to-date teams and players. Would you drop £40 for a Super Nintendo or a Mega Drive cartridge with the updated data on?
No, I wouldn't pay for a cartridge. What I would do is I'd be like, send me the. Well, I would first of all, I wouldn't want to pay for that in any way. I'd be like,
Yeah,
put the ROM file online. I've got an EverDrive. Loads of people have I've got a Super EverDrive. People have the EverDrive for the Mega Drive. Plonk it on a website as a ROM. I'll download it. I'll stick it on my SD card. Plop that in the EverDrive. And I would play it. I probably would play it on my actual Super Nintendo, which
yeah.
I use regularly, my real Super Nintendo with the EverDrive. But I don't think I would. Yeah, there are collectors that would it'll look nice on a shelf. Although to me, it doesn't have any collector value because it's not a real thing that came out. It's just a homebrew thing.
It's basically homebrew, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't pay £40 for a cartridge. I mean, there's people on eBay, no doubt you've seen, being a retro collector as well. People just sell reproduction boxes for 50 quid.
I know, ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, you can get the reproduction box for Mario World for 50 quid, and I'm like, really? I can buy probably not that eBay's the best place anyway, because these days it's practically retail prices you pay on eBay. When the whole point is you go on eBay to get a bargain for whatever it is you're going for. But yeah, I can get Marioworld for probably 30 quid in a decent nick with the actual box. So yeah, people are buying them, I guess, because obviously that's why they. To be honest, I prefer like the plastic cases that you print the sleeves out for. Some people have made like Mega Drive style plastic cases for Super Nintendo games, which are a lot better than the crappy cardboard ones that Nintendo made back in the day.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, I get in your shop. I bet you very rarely get an immaculate Super Nintendo game in the box. The cartridge, you can batter them around like anybody's business, and they'll still work. But the boxes are just
Ever. Well, Nintendo weren't thinking about sort of
no,
collectors and how things are meant to look on their shelves. It all
yeah,
comes down to the simple things of how much is it going to cost to produce,
yeah,
how much, how many of these can we get into a box and ship from China?
yeah.
That's all the questions that they ask. What's the weight of the box? Because that's going to affect the cost of transporting it and things like that. And
Like Sega had the best boxes. The
they did, yeah.
early Saturn games, which had this bizarre case that the disc kept falling out of the teeth on the little disc mount bit inside the box.
That was awful, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
oh crap. I mean, I've got all my fucking like Virtua Fighter and Daytona. They're all absolutely knackered because they just get knocked around inside the box. But yeah, the Mega Drive and the Master System. They didn't do it for the Game Gear, which was a bit annoying. I always found quite annoying. But yeah, those boxes were indestructible nearly. As I'm seeing in your shop, you don't even need to look after them particularly well, and they'll still look pretty good, apart from the custom sticker residue from Comet or wherever it is you bought the game from back in the 90s. But yeah,
Exactly. Well, I think we've gone off the
tangent.
talk about Uncharted 4 to
I
Mega
think we
Drive.
made the point, wasn't it? We don't mind as long as it works when it comes out.
Basically, yeah. I think we both agree with that.
That's it.
Now, this week actually, they've Steam have announced the Steam machines. I think there's about 14 of them,
Yeah,
from about £300 up to about £3,000 or maybe £2,000. So, well, Trevor, basic question: Are you going to get one or?
well, I'm a PC gamer. I recently became a PC gamer. As in, I always played on and off
PC gamers. They think they're the best.
Yeah, I'm not quite master race. I'm not like worship Lord Nathan. Because I like all. Basically, I don't think anybody should restrict themselves to one platform because you're missing out on the games that are available and everything else. I'm far more. I've moved beyond the playground arguments, especially if you're a grown up like we are. We can, if we have jobs and everything, we can kind of afford to buy all the consoles.
Trevor, I'm just going to interrupt you there. I will never, never, never own an Atari ST.
I've actually got one, and I was an Amiga fan, still am. I'm sitting on my bed right now. I've got an Amiga 500 Plus, and you'll probably quit doing console shop when I tell you this, but I've got an Atari 1040 STE in the box, up just a little bit away from me, with a PS3 sat on top of it.
All I can, Trevor, just leave it in the box. It's fine in the box, mate.
Right.
The Amiga working.
The sound is.
Atari in the box.
The main difference is the audio chip. The sound in the Atari ST is crap. It's like basically NES. You got this weird 16-bit graphics, which weren't as good as the Amiga anyway, because it was missing a couple of the chips that the Amiga had. Although they did add them in later, but it was too late, and no one made games to account for them. So it was pointless. But yeah, the sound is crap. Whereas the Amiga has the best sound chip of all the 16-bit. The only one that comes close is the Super Nintendo. A good comparison: play Pinball Dreams on the Amiga. That soundtrack is amazing. It's literally like a CD.
Have you ever heard the demo thing? I remember I used to have it for the Amiga called Jesus on Ease.
Was it? Yeah, it's like a light, and it's like an image and sound show, wasn't it? There's loads of them. They were like homebrew things that people made.
And people would make these, and I would when I was 14.
You got them on discs, didn't you? For a cheap.
I would literally put that in as something to play just in the background, like music.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
they're amazing. I mean, like I said, the big thing was the Amiga had this amazing sound chip, so the sound beat all the other 16-bit systems, and graphically it kicked the ST's ass. But I've got one just for the collection because
yeah,
like I said, now I know that the Super Nintendo is the best 16-bit console. My 10-year-old version of me would probably be disgusted and appalled by that because I still am a Sega fanboy. But the Super Nintendo is just better than the Mega Drive. Simple as that. Sorry, Steve. I'm a Sega fanboy. Don't kill me. I'm with you guys. But let's be honest. It was better.
well, I don't know. 'Cause, well, going back to the Steam machines is I'm because I'm thinking in the next 2 or 3 months I actually want to get a small sort of micro formed PC to
Yeah.
fit discreetly underneath my TV so I can stream YouTube and I can have Netflix on there, and then
Like
if I need
stuff
to
like that.
I can bring up stuff on the internet. I can do X, I can do Y with all with a wireless keyboard and mouse.
And you
So,
might try a game or two on it and see how you get on, sort of thing.
well, do you know what? I won't even do any gaming. That's what I don't want it for. I want it to sort of have a PC, but
Yeah.
I've got my TV's not as big as yours, but I've got a nice 40-inch monitor here,
Yeah.
and having a small sort of form PC. So thinking about the Steam machines is now obviously do they run on Steam OS, or is
Yeah,
there
it's a little bit weird. I probably need a bit of explanation. Well, my first thing is I don't think they've got a chance against a games console, basically because the cheapest ones are 500 quid, and with the graphics cards they have in there, the cheaper ones have. They're not most of them have to fit in a small box. They have laptop graphics cards. Now my gaming PC is a gaming laptop, but I paid way more than anybody would ever want to pay for anything. Just idiots like me are willing to put up large amounts of money for these things. But I've got one that's literally the top of the range. So I get basically it means that I never buy a multi-platform game on a console. I always get the PC version because it's going to be the best version. So the consoles at the moment, the latest ones are I just have them for the exclusive console games. So Uncharted's, Last of Us, Halo, Forza, and all that sort of stuff. But everything else I play on the PC because they'll be better. But yeah, these Steam boxes, they run Steam OS, which is basically just a skinned version of Windows, skinned with like a Steam overlay, so it makes all the icons big and it makes it easy to navigate with a joypad, a 360 pad normally.
yeah.
PCs without any messing around, to make it easier to do it from across the room off the telly. But they run just regular PC games. Trouble is, they're about 500 quid for a cheap one, and you'll get a little bit better performance with the graphics card the cheapo ones have than you will on with the same game on a console. I guess an example would be like Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. I mean, you get it's 1080p on a PS4, and it's slightly under 1080p on an Xbox One, and image quality wise, it looks about sort of medium to high graphics settings from the PC version. Whereas on a 500 quid Steam box, you'll be able to get it on high graphics settings at 60 frames a second. And also but then the higher range ones, which are pushing 1,000 quid,
Mm.
you're sort of thinking you might as well just build yourself. I mean, to build the game PC, it's pretty easy these days. You can just watch a YouTube video where they tell you what to buy, where the cheapest things are to get them, and then they show you a video how to put it together. Although it's actually pretty easy to put a PC together these days, everything kind of screws into very specific areas. You haven't got to have, it's very. I mean, I've got a laptop, so I want a computer I can take with me and game on that I can take with me. But I'm unusual. Most people build a gaming PC. But yeah, I mean, a good example is on the higher spec ones that have better graphics cards that are more like the one in my laptop, like
Mm.
Rise, the basically scrolling beat 'em up Roman game that was an Xbox One exclusive. That came out on the PC. So on the Xbox One, it's 1600 pixels by 900 pixels, so it's 900p, and it runs at 30 frames a second. On the graphics card that I've got in my laptop and is in some of the Steam machines is an NVIDIA GeForce 980M. I can play the same game at 1080p with ultra texture detail and ultra graphics details at 60 frames a second. So
Mm.
these things are potentially twice as powerful, maybe more than the PS4 and an Xbox One, but is a casual sort of gaming person that just wants to slap a game in a box, sit on the couch and play whatever, are they really going to want to spend £1,000 to do that, or even £500 when they could just rock down to Playnation games, for example, and grab like a PS4 or even a second-hand PS4 for like 300 quid? I don't think they are.
What I like about console gaming is, and it always harks back to PC gaming in the past,
Yeah,
and it's probably not the case now, but for me, PC gaming used to be, you download the game or you'll buy the game, you'll put it in, and
yeah,
it would randomly not work. So
yeah,
you'll have to read up and, oh, I've got to change the setting. Okay, you change the setting.
yeah,
Oh, I've got to do this. Oh, I've got to reinstall. Oh, I've got to do that. Will it work? I've got to get the sound configure. Oh, will it work with
yeah.
the
You
right
don't slap a
controller?
cartridge in, do you? You don't slap a cartridge in, sit back and watch it and play it. They
No.
can't.
And okay, and even the updates you get on PS4 games and Xbox One games these days,
Yes, yeah,
obviously they're very PC-esque. But the point
they
is,
are.
you put it in, and everything's done for you, and everything's optimized. And the point is, I play my Xbox, my PS4, and I honestly don't think the graphics could get any better.
Yeah,
Uh,
Mel, it's funny. Sort of your point about the difficulty in setting, configuring all this stuff. I mean, that's not so much an issue these days. Actually, in fact, I think right now we're in a golden age of PC gaming. There's actually been a couple of them. There was one from the early to the late '90s when you got like your SimCity 2000s and Doom and Quake and all those big games.
yeah,
And we're having a second one now where we're basically getting all the games that the consoles are getting, barring the exclusives, which are only you can count on one hand these days, plus PC only games that are amazing. Although one of them's coming out on console soon. Elite is the one I was going to say. And you get the games that the consoles get, but you get the best version. And in terms of configuring, it's basically you just go on Steam. You can live inside Steam. You can just go on Steam, buy the game, it downloads it, it installs it for you, it makes sure all your drivers are correct, and you never have to do anything apart from click on the icon on your desktop. The Xbox, to get a controller to work, and you just get an Xbox 360 controller, plug it into USB, and the drivers are built into Windows, and it just works. So there's compared to the 90s, which is probably what you were describing, and it does happen a little bit these days. The only time you really need to do any technical stuff is, let's say, like there's LA Noire, the PC version of that was locked at 30 frames a second. Most people don't care, that's absolutely fine, but people that want the best version, they want to get 60 frames a second. You have to go into some config files and mess around with them to get it to unlock to 60 frames a second. But that's if you want to do that. You don't have to if you don't want to. But yeah, you're right. Most people just want to slap a disc in, sit on their couch and play, and you can do that for 300 quid. And at the moment, the graphics aren't really. If you're casual, you won't be bothered about the pixel density of the game you're playing. It's only,
I mean, I think I watched some Mark from Review Tech, no, Mark, Richard,
yeah,
Review Tech USA. He
yeah,
did this sort of comparison of Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes with
yeah,
the PS4 version, and then he showed the PC version, and then he
yeah.
went on about how much better the PC version looks. And I thought, oh yes, it does, but it's.
Yeah,
I'm almost.
the extra money to you. If it's not, then it's not, is it? Yeah,
Okay, yes, I always want the best looking machines, but realistically, if I got made myself a PC for £1,000, okay, that's 3 times the cost of a PS4. So
yeah,
actually, yeah, I do expect it to be better, but I'm buying a console because I want to turn it on. I want it to boot up in about 3 seconds. I want everything on the screen. I want to just put a disc in, play the game, and then turn it off, and just everything works. That's what I
yeah.
want. You know,
Yeah.
don't want anything
Yeah.
else. I don't want to, mess around.
Yeah.
Be able to do my banking on there and doing this and doing that. Don't want that. What I want is a machine. And so part of me was thinking about the Steam machines. Okay, well, will they be like that? So I don't know.
Well, what I would say to you, I mean, if you wanted a cheap gaming PC that'll outperform a next gen or current gen console,
Mm,
I would just say here's a YouTube video. They tell you everything you got to buy. 400 quid it'll cost you, and you'll have something that'll be better than you have to snap it together yourself.
yeah,
So
I can do that.
in a
Yeah.
few hours, one night when you've got everything delivered, it won't take you all day. I'd probably be able to help you with it. We'll slap it together, get you some games off Steam. So they're normally dirt. That's one big advantage of PC games. They are crazy cheap. There's no licensing. They haven't got to pay Sony or Microsoft to to get the game on the Xbox. So games are about £10 to £20 cheaper. Uh,
Exactly.
that's AAA games as well. And you can download them. You don't even have to have the disc. You can download the digital version, so you run straight off your hard drive. And you can get something that'll outperform a console. You can install SteamOS on it, so you can have it. So you never have to see Windows, and you can just run your games off the menu, the SteamOS menu, controlling it with your Xbox 360 controller. So I would recommend that over. Maybe the next year they'll release sub £500 ones. Then people might start thinking, I'll drop my console and get a Steam machine.
Well, actually,
Right
if you
now, they're
look
not worth
at
it.
the article CV this week, there are some. They had about 14 of them from all these different manufacturers, and
Yeah.
some manufacturers are, and I think some were as low as £300, and then some were over the £1,000 mark. And different manufacturers are, almost aiming at slightly different sort of demographics. Let's try and make the
Yeah.
most powerful one. Let's try and make one that we can sell, 100,000 of them to, and all these different configurations.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think it's because like the trouble with the £300 one is it's going to have a terrible graphics card, so you're only going to get something that's basically the same performance as a next gen console. So
yeah.
what are you really getting for 300 quid? Okay, it's got Windows on it. You better use it for everything else.
Mm,
Well, I guess there is advantages. Graphically, it'll look the same as what you can get from Sony and Microsoft, but you would save money from Steam, and it can do other things and not just play games. It's not just a fairly dumb box that just plays games. It's just like
mm,
a thin client to run video games. But even so, if you're going to do PC gaming, you should I think you should aim for something that's better than what you can buy on a console.
yeah.
But they wouldn't appeal to me. But I'm the person that wants the ultimate performance in a game. So I wouldn't buy a Steam box at all. And I prefer laptops. Gaming laptops to PCs. So I like to be able to take it around with me. So go on, so I can, on a holiday especially. So yeah, they're not doing anything for me. And I think most casual game people wouldn't touch them.
Mm. Okay, what was the next? I've been talking about PC gaming. It sort of links quite nicely into the next thing.
Yeah.
A little while ago, there was a game called SimCity.
Yes.
There's lots of questions about the DRM, but I actually, from reviews, I don't do any real PC gaming as we talked about, but I always thought, oh, actually, there was DRM issues, but people actually liked the game. Well, apparently not, because there's a game that's just come out called Cities Skyline, and it's basically a clone. And I've used that not in the fondest term, but it's a clone of SimCity. But it's been selling. I think in its first day, it sold 250,000 copies. Now, it's actually an amazing sort of copy, or it's been inspired by, or a clone
It's around.
of SimCity.
Yeah, it's actually been around for a while because there was Cities XL, and these are the same guys that made that. That was about 2 or 3 years back, I think.
Right.
Cities XXL, which only came out about a year ago, or 2013, which is like an upgraded version. And now
Yeah.
there's Skyline. So there's actually about the third or fourth in that series. And I think because there's a few things at play here. There was the fact that people don't like EA, and they obviously bought Maxis, and they've just like milked the crap out of the Sims, where you pay like as much for an expansion pack as you do for the full game these days. An expansion pack used to be a couple of discs that were £10 that you bolt onto your £30 game, sort of thing, which is reasonable. But now, yeah. And there was a bit of a backlash with the always on internet requirement for SimCity, and it was missing a few things, like the cities you could build weren't as big. There was a lot of admin that you had to do. You spent a lot of time in menus. My personal favourite is SimCity 2000, which I still play to this day, which I think is the best city game, building game ever. Even the Super Nintendo version is actually very good. That's a tip for anybody. Play that if you want a console version. Play it on the SNES. It's the best console version. But yeah, and so this Cities XXL has kind of taken advantage of that. Or City Skylines. I think it's taken advantage of that and given people an alternative to giving EA your money. I don't know if it's actually better or worse or what. I've actually read reviews for it, but I think it's the backlash from what happened with SimCity.
I think the reviews are coming out that it's actually, it's getting 10 out of 10s, and people are saying, "Oh, it's phenomenal." Obviously there is a few downsides. It doesn't have It doesn't have the disaster management of when you have an earthquake or a great big.
I found that was really annoying. I actually turn them off because I'd spend all this time making a really nice city, then a bloody tycoon would start and like completely ruin loads of things I built, and it used to annoy the crap out of me.
I hate a bloody tycoon coming along and doing that.
Real life,
bloody tycoons with all their money. Don't you mean typhoon?
Typhoon, yeah, sorry, tycoon. Get mixed up with
Tycoon,
which is another strategy building game.
Yeah.
Typhoons or Godzilla or whatever or it was aliens could attack you and all kinds of stuff.
Exactly, an earthquake or just big fires and.
Yeah, but yeah, it was annoying, so I always turned that stuff off. But some people loved it, so I guess they'd be a bit disappointed if they want that and it's not in this sort of homage game. But yeah, I think it was because of the backlash of the actual SimCity that has helped these other guys with their game, city building game.
Yeah, so I wouldn't actually mind seeing if that'll work on my PC actually. Okay, now actually in the last week, I think I talked about this actually on Facebook. We were chatting about it. I don't know. I'll say the title of my little debating point. Isn't the Xbox 360 still an amazing machine? Discuss.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, because we've had an interesting thing that we've both appear to have shared late. Well, we've kind of got back into the last gen a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I've recently just got loads of PS3 games that I missed out originally on, and I think you've done the same thing with the 360.
Yeah, it was actually I picked up quite a few games for work today actually, and I don't know, it was just lots of games that I didn't quite pick up at last gen and because what was it? I was playing two things actually. I was playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and I was thinking I'm enjoying this just as much as I would do the how do you put it? As I would do Advanced Warfare on the PS4.
Yeah.
And also, what was it? Yeah, Tomb Raider. Now I'm playing that.
Yeah.
It's an amazingly immersive game, and the graphics are absolutely phenomenal. The physics are up 10 out of 10, and I'm going.
Yeah.
With games like this,
It still looks good.
Do I need to get a PS4 game or Xbox One games or I don't know.
To answer the question, it is still pretty amazing, as is the PS3, or the sort of the HD twins, I suppose you can collectively call them. But yeah, basically, But I mean, they're like, I mean, the Xbox is 10 years old this year, in November, which is crazy, isn't it? But when you look at a game, we've mentioned this before, and also for PS3, you look at a game that came out at the very beginning of the lifespan, like your Perfect Dark Zero or FIFA '06, compared to like what came out in the last year. Like you got things like Crisis 3 and like Tomb Raider is a good example, and it's like they're on a different console. It's amazing how well they've scaled up as the developers have kind of unlocked more and more power. And yeah.
Again, playing Call of Duty 2, and then playing Advanced Warfare or Black Ops 2. It's absolutely night and day between the two games.
It is.
And if someone said, "Oh, these are on the same console," I'll be very surprised. But
yeah. I mean, I made a conscious effort the last few days. I mean, if you're a collector, and advice for people that are wanting to collect, now's a good time for last gen because Stu Store will be doing this. They're selling a lot of games. You can pick them up for pennies practically. Or if you've got a CEX near you, probably there as well. But we would like you to go to Stu Store, of course. But yeah, I mean, I made a point of getting all the PS3 or as many of the PS3 exclusive games as I could because they tended to look better than anything that was on the 360. Although the multi-plats looked a lot better on the 360 most of the time. But yeah, I got like Ninja Gaiden Sigma. I got like what else was else in the Uncharted games? I mentioned them, all three of them. Infamous 1 and 2. I'm looking forward to playing them. Even like the PS3 version of Soul Calibur 4, because you got to play as Darth Vader in that, whereas the 360 Yoda. Yeah, I prefer Darth Vader, so I went for that. And there's like Starhawk and Warhawk and all those weird little and Yakuza 4. There's a couple of others as well that I can't remember, but yeah, I've got a big pile of these games, and I've probably got. I think it was 10 games I recently picked up all together, and it cost me about 40 quid. And like, so these are big ass AAA games.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and Infamous. So yeah, now's the time to get back into it because, and gameplay wise, you're not the new consoles aren't really offering anything over those games. Really, when you break it down, they may look better, but at the end of the day, the Order 1886 is just kind of Uncharted with like a Victorian theme. It's not like you cannot have you would never have been able to play this sort of game on a PS3, but it's, because it's not true.
You're absolutely right, and it comes down to FIFA. I can hear myself.
Well, you're cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, I can hear myself.
You've come back now.
I can hear myself.
Oh, weird. Well, that's weird. You had that earlier, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did you move was it your iPad you're on? Didn't you move it around or something?
I don't know if I have. Yeah. Oh, well, I can still hear myself.
Do you want me to try and get my earphones and then we'll do it that way?
Yeah, good try that, yeah.
Yeah? Okay, just hang for a mo. I'll be back in a tick.
Hi Trevor, mate. I've done the same thing. I've only got my headphones.
Oh, I'm back now. Let me just plug in. Sorry, listeners.
That sounds better.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, that's better.
Okay, I'll leave those earphones then, and we'll just carry on.
Yeah, I'll put my headphones in now. My earphones. So yeah, but that's it. I mean, if you're playing FIFA, For example, you're still playing a football game. You're still doing all the same things, and again with lots of the the first person shooters, and it's still got
Yeah.
all the same depth and things like that. And I know developers may say, oh well, actually we can get 64 players on the screen at once, or we can do this, we can do that. Yeah, okay, of course. But the point is, there's still a lot of life left in the Xbox 360, the PS3, not necessarily the Wii, but
Yeah,
some
it
of the.
was a very good generation, I think, certainly for the quality of the games that came out, and the games haven't aged much, really. I mean, they're not really that old, are they?
No.
The earliest ones are only like just about hitting 10 years old now, but especially they haven't really aged too badly at all. Whereas you plop an Xbox or a PS2 game in, and it's like quite stark the difference, because you're going to real sub HD kind of blocky games, whereas these ones you could get real movie quality storylines and things that haven't really changed much moving to the current gen. So you're getting the same experience really, still, as I just mentioned. So, and like I said, it's you can pick up so many games with hours upon hours of gameplay in them for nothing. You could spend £40 on The Order 1886, which is a good game, as I've said, or you can spend £40 getting all the Uncharted's and all the Infamous games, and have 50 hours of really good gameplay. So it's a good time to you should keep it plugged in. Get yourself a HDMI switch so you can pop four or five things into your telly. And my setup at the moment is I've got like a PS4, my Xbox One, and I've also got the PS3 and the 360 all together on my telly. Because the 360 and the Xbox PS3, I've got games that I still want to play on those, and that'll probably be for years.
Definitely.
But they're not going to get packed away anytime soon.
No. I mean, do you it sort of goes on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I'm sort of going to go. I think we both sort of love this current gen of games, but the Vita. Now, you've got a Vita, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Now, can you name one game that's going to come out in the next year that you want to buy for the Vita?
No, I can't. To tell you the truth, I haven't played it for God, maybe for a year or something, a long time. It's been pretty much abandoned. Ironically, I'm looking to get the Uncharted that came out on the Vita, although it was actually weirdly one of the first games that came out. Although now it's kind of the only AAA kind of adventure game that ever came out for it, and probably be the only one. But no, I couldn't name a game coming out. No.
Because my point is, it just seems that the Vita, it's an amazing little machine, and I really like using it. But all the games that come out for it are games that sort of were big in Japan, and it does very well in Japan. It's every week it's second or third in the sales charts in Japan, and there's lots of games over there like the Freedom Walls and some Tales games and.
People are kind of saying that it's like this gen's Dreamcast in like a weird way, where no one's buying it, but it's got all these amazing games coming out that no one's ever going to play because they're too busy, playing on the Xbox or the PS4.
Yeah, and I just feel that no one wants to commit to, actually, let's try and make a real, AAA game for the PS Vita, or let's try and convert a current gen game, let's say something like Dark Age Inquisition or Destiny. Let's try and put that on the Vita. Oh no. The Vita couldn't actually do these type of games. So it's not even.
The PS Vita, it costs nearly the same amount of money to make a AAA game for it as it does for a PS4 or an Xbox One game. But the trouble is, there's only 4 million-ish people that own a PS Vita, and you charge £10 less for the game. when it comes out. So it's just economically, it's just the developers are staying away from it because of that. When they could, potentially make, if they want to make a baby version of a game that you play on a handheld, they'll make a iOS or Android version of the game, and make a much better profit on it and spend less money developing. So the Vita's in a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, what was I was going to say? And
So it's become this you get all these little mini cute little Japanese games have kind of just proliferated on it.
I think they're very good sort of Japanese games. They're all got they're amazing games, but they're not the games that would sell the machine in this country. Personally, there's lots of niche RPGs coming out on the on the Vita, and brilliant. Okay, great. They're coming out to this market. Brilliant. Love them. Well, I don't really like them, but the point is, this game's coming out for it. But you Tom, Dick, and Harry that play, FIFA, Call of Duty. They like an adventure game. They like Uncharted. They're going to look at that and go, actually, I'm not familiar at all with that. Though the problem with all those Japanese RPGs, that they take a real level of getting into.
You've got to be a fan, they're not for casual kind of. You can't just jump into it. No, you have to have appreciation of culture.
You've got to spend a lot of time getting into the world and understanding exactly what you're doing with it, because it's just not something you can sort of jump into. And there's a few sort of rhythm games as well. And it's not really the genre of games that sell a hell of a lot, I mean, in my opinion. But hopefully the Vita will still be around, because I think it's a good machine.
It's a really good machine, yeah. I mean, but it's been completely smoked by the 3DS. It's really a failure, to be honest. Not so much in Japan, where it's holding its own, but in every other territory, it's been a bit of a failure. You go in a shop and you see only a handful of Vita games, some of which are 2 or 3 years old, like there'll be a 4 or 5 Uncharted Golden Abyss, FIFA 15 or FIFA 14, Virtua Tennis. Most of these games came out when it was released. There's very little new stuff. The physical retail releases, a lot of them are just PSN, kind of quirky old games, like Japanese games, like you're saying, that don't really move on, store shelves. I'm sure you probably be able to testify to being, having your own store. So yeah, I can't imagine. You see a lot of Vita games coming in and out of your store?
Not really, no, not enough of them really.
Compared to 3DS, it must be like night and day.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, what I was saying that Sony have almost branded it as, get the Vita. It's a great way to play your PS4 in another room.
Yeah, which is kind of the reason to get it these days, isn't it? Really, but even that isn't quite. It's still too expensive as well. If it was £100, I think that would be for the Vita. I know there's the PS TV, which is basically a Vita, but if it was about £100, or if it was the same price as a 3DS, then more people might buy it. But it's still at a kind of slightly premium price, that's putting people off.
The problem is just say for example you want to play your PS4 on your Vita, they do something with the frame rates, so it doesn't feel quite. So
the response time, yeah.
Yeah, the response time. It doesn't feel quite right. And I've tried playing sort of Call of Duty and then I think FIFA and a couple of other games.
Yeah, a lot of people.
This doesn't quite. I'm mediocre at FIFA, at Call of Duty at best. But actually playing it on through the Vita screen, I'm awful. I'm terrible.
Yeah, it's like if it's going back to the PC gamer thing. The reason people always say, well, why are PC gamers so obsessed with frame rate? Who cares? The human eye can only see 24 frames a second anyway, which is not true. But if you go from 30 frames a second on a game, and then you're able to boost that up to 60, the response time, you really feel it, especially in a first-person game. Well, any game really. It's just that the amount of milliseconds that pass from you moving the joystick or the analog stick to seeing something happen or pressing the button, you can feel it, the reduction in response time. So, if you have an option to have a higher frame rate, if it's available, you always want to go for 60 frames a second over 30 any day. I don't care if it's quote unquote more film-like, as some of the developers would have you believe. But yeah, you've just experienced that by having a frame rate halve because it's being streamed and there's bandwidth limitations with streaming video, which is a problem that you probably have with PlayStation Now as well. When you're playing a game that normally would be 60 frames a second, you're getting it at 30 because it's basically a video that you're playing, and you can only stream so much. 60 frames in 1 second is a lot more data than 30.
Exactly, and for me, I mean, PlayStation Now is a service I'm not particularly interested in, and I don't think they're going to be. I think the video game Sony and Microsoft are almost betting on this being a great service and brilliant for the consumer, but and
it should be integrated
until they get it all right.
Services. It should be part of PlayStation Now. I don't mean like
Plus,
a premium one that you can upgrade to, just part of the whatever amount of quid you pay a year. And if they do it for the Xbox, it should be part of Xbox Live. If you do that, then it'll be very popular. But it's another thing you have to buy on top of what you're already paying for these things. Again, this is why PC gaming is good, because you can play every old console under the sun if you want, and it's also free to game online. So yeah, if you're charging for that, and like we said last time, didn't we? Like, why would I want to play Uncharted streamed to me? So I'm like renting it for a fee when I can buy it for £3 in CEX and have an actual disc that's mine.
Exactly.
So
yeah. The problem is with renting the game, you almost feel forced to sort of play it, and you can't play it at your leisure, and
you don't own it. It's just you're getting it as like your gas or like your electricity. It's not like it's a service.
What about when it comes down to the other things? Is what was it? For about 4 hours a day, the BBC website wasn't working, and if you've got the problem where your internet's not working, or
you can't access.
This will never happen, but the PlayStation Network is down. Well, it's down all the blooming time. It feels like I'm always getting little error messages. Oh, I can't go into the store. Okay, I'll try again in an hour, and then I can get on there. So
the 5 years later, you're like, I want to go and play that Uncharted that I used to stream and play. Oh, I can't play it because Sony have deleted it now, and so which these days you can just go and buy a disc of something, no matter how old it is, and still play it. But with something like that, it's a finite thing that will disappear one day.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's that element to it. It's just don't like it.
So I think you've already answered this, Trevor. But what have you been playing this week?
Oh, I've got a few. Well, this week I might have to give you a recap of some of the ones I've done the last month or so, because it's been a.
Well, actually, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, say that.
We haven't talked recently on Console Shop. I've actually got a little list here, so I'm going to annoy everybody watching so I can actually. I completed Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. Not that there's much to boast about, it's only a couple of hours long. I really liked it. This is on the PC, by the way. I really liked it. The storyline, I had no idea what was going on. The cutscenes looked very nice, but I had no idea what was going on. But the game was good. Which is basically all the Metal Gear Solids these days, unless you intricately know all the plot lines, 15 plot lines that are running in each game. The whole thing's a mystery. But yeah, I quite enjoyed that. Don't think it's worth like the 15 quid or whatever they charge you for what's basically a demo. But yeah, it's actually good. I'm looking forward to the full Metal Gear Solid 5. I completed Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Really enjoyed the single-player campaign. It's just about the right length. We were talking earlier about how long games go on for. Very cool set pieces in it. I love the bit when you get into like a giant mech thing near the end. Sorry if I've ruined it for anybody, and you get to like fire rockets out of it. I wish the whole game was that. To be honest, that was the most fun bit. But I really enjoyed it.
Was Kevin Spacey good?
Yeah, it was actually quite the motion capture and the animation in the cutscenes was amazing. It was nearly photorealistic, and his character was a bit stereotypical, I don't want to spoil it for anybody because they do kind of have it as a twist, even though it's kind of obvious what's going to happen.
Mm.
But yeah, his character's really cool. I quite enjoyed him in it. Uncharted, I finished Drake's Fortune, which I
That's
really
the first
enjoyed.
one, isn't it?
That's the
Yeah.
first one, yeah. Again, it hasn't really aged much, although the graphics are a bit more cartoony than Naughty Dog's later games, but that's probably because of the limitations of their first game on the PS3, or their
Yeah.
first kind of realistic game. I think they had like, was it Ratchet and Clank they make? I think they did one of them before. But yeah, there was that. Sleeping Dogs. I've started. So yeah, quite enjoy it. It's basically
What about
On
Mortal Kombat Trilogy? Is that on the PlayStation 1?
No, I got the PC version, which is basically the PlayStation 1 version, so I've been playing that. And yeah, still as impossible in single player mode as it always has been, to the point where you kind of end up rage quitting it. But it's still weirdly enjoyable. It's probably the best 2D Mortal Kombat, I think. I think it's probably slightly better than 2. Well, a lot of people would think that's blasphemy. When I've been playing Mortal Kombat 2 on the Super Nintendo, that's the best version. Well, it's the best 16-bit version because obviously you can get like an Xbox Live arcade perfect version, can't you? But they were pretty good. The SNES version was very close to the arcade. The Mega Drive version was quite good as well, but it's just got less colours and it's a lot scratchier sounding audio and all that kind of. There's even an Amiga
exactly.
that came on like 3 discs, I think, on the Amiga, and even that's actually not bad if you don't mind swapping discs in between rounds. But so yeah, I've been doing a bit of other SNES as well. I've been doing Super Mario World, which I've rage quit a couple of times because it is rock hard and it really irritates me, but I still play it. And a few other I've got an EverDrive, so I've got a ton of ROMs on there. Although I really want to start a collection of actual cartridges, but the prices are really getting high with them, with actual Super NES, especially with games that are collectible. They're not even rare, just collectible, like Mario All Stars or something. You're lucky to find that for less than 10 quid anywhere really, even though there's like millions of them floating around. So we might do some kind of Game Chasers thing for that at some stage, unless you have it in your shop, in which case we'll just buy it from there. Which won't be a very good episode of Game Chasers, but anyway, yeah. So that's me. What about you?
Well, I've been playing. God, what have I been playing? That's it. I got Watch Dogs. Actually, I got the Wii U version of Watch Dogs.
Controversial, the Wii U version.
The Wii U version. I thought, I'll give it a go on that. And the graphics wise, I was very, very, very disappointed with it.
You can't even keep up to like 30 frames a second. It stutters quite a lot, doesn't it?
It stutters, and it's. I mean, I played
the
this.
Screen tears, doesn't it, as well? Where sort of one half of the screen was rendered slightly before the bottom half, so it kind of judders along with itself.
And yeah, it just doesn't feel. It feels. Because I played a lot of the PS4 version in the shop, and I was very, very impressed with how Watch Dogs looked on that. Then going back to the Wii U version, it just looks like a real poor man's. I actually want to say that GTA 4 looks better, and that's a game that's a lot older than what Watch Dogs is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the multi Watch Dogs came out on the 360 and the PS3. I think if you go on Eurogamer, they compare that to the Wii U version, and I think the Wii U version comes off worse.
I think they've just not optimized it for the Wii U. They've spent no time, but it's still playable.
And you get on the gamepad because you can play it off the screen, can't you? And just on the gamepad. Is that any good?
But the gamepad. It's sort of got the map is always on, and you can do a few little things on there, which I think make it a little bit easier. So I've kind of enjoyed that. But then actually the whole game of Watch Dogs, people keep on saying, "Oh, someone's in your area. Try and track them down." So all I do is just run around in circles.
Oh, the admin stuff, yeah.
And then I'm like, what am I doing here? What I've got to try and find someone. Like this. Oh no, this is annoying. I don't want this to happen. How do I stop this happening? Can I just not win this little battle and just carry on with the story? So
Yeah, I think I talked about it the other week where I said I was playing the PC version, and
mm,
yeah, I just thought it was just too much admin. It was just like annoying me. Like the police chase has gone way too long because you've got
that's
to do all these extra things to get them off your back, like raise bollards and use your phone to manipulate the traffic, which
mm,
sounds like it should be fun, but it isn't because they're kind of too good. And like when you're doing a mission, you can't just like this, the stealth bits are very tedious. I
mm.
like Metal Gear Solid, which is like fun. The stealth bits are actually fun. In Watch Dogs, you've got to redirect cameras away. You've got to like distract the guards and do. It's like, ugh, can't I just run behind them and break their necks. It's like,
Exactly. Something
yeah,
about the controls and everything. I just felt, oh God, they've sort of taken the fun out of what I'm trying to do here,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and that was the whole annoying thing for me.
I haven't played it for a while. I mean, I
I
don't think I got very far in the campaign, about a quarter of the way in, and I just haven't been back to it
I
since.
don't think I might go back to it. We'll see.
The
But
storyline isn't that interesting. I think that's probably what it is. I'm just not that bothered about the dude I'm playing as. Whereas GTA, the storyline was great,
well, yeah.
and that kept me coming back. But Watch
No,
Dogs,
no games can really compare to
no,
GTA, in my opinion. That's the
the
best
top.
game of the last 2 years.
Yeah, no, I
Certainly
like
better than Destiny.
The Last of Us. Yeah, like The Last of Us. You really cared about Joel and Ellie, and you wanted to see what
Exactly,
happens
that's
to
another
them,
good
so you carried
example
on
of it.
playing. Yeah,
Mm,
Uncharted, Tomb Raider, all those are really good storylines. But Watch Dogs is just like, not that bothered. I don't
mm,
personally feel like I want to make this guy win the whatever it is. Yeah, so I haven't been back to it. It looks very good. Certainly the
mm.
PC version, probably the PS4. Yeah, as you say, but that isn't enough to make you keep coming back. Really. I'd just rather play doing the actual, not just walking around doing like rampages isn't even as fun as GTA. Probably because again the police are too difficult. They're overpowered in that.
Yeah,
Whereas
that
in
you
GTA 5, there's little tricks you can do like hide in a subway or in a tunnel, and people say, "Oh yeah, I can't believe they haven't fixed that glitch yet." Yeah, it's not a glitch. They purposely let you do that because it's a way of making it fun to escape from the police and giving you a way of of not making the police too powerful. Whereas in Watch
mm,
Dogs, they're overpowered. They have it's impossible to have a lengthy police rampage.
mm. Because what else have I been playing? Sort of moving on. Final Fantasy X on the PS Vita, Final Fantasy X 10, and
Is that a remake or is that like
well,
is that
yeah, they
like
call it a HD remake, and
that was the PS, wasn't it? That was on the PS3 or the Xbox 360,
Yeah,
wasn't it? 10.
PS3 and the Vita,
So it's
and
just yeah.
I was enjoying that, but again, it comes down to RPGs. I think I find them quite difficult, and it suddenly got really hard.
Yeah, they're not really
So,
fetch questy though, are they? They're not like Skyrim. It's not a bunch of
oh no, no, no,
fetch
no!
quests. It's actual
It's
just
basically it is,
leveling
man.
up
It's
more than anything, isn't
yeah,
it?
follow the path and grind a
Meet
bit,
the bad
level
guy,
up.
beat him. Yeah.
Yeah, move on, move on. Get buy some potions in the next town. But it's quite a funny game because it's all based around this character. I can't remember what his name is now, but he's got blonde hair,
All
and
right.
they play this game called Blitzball, and it's sort of a like American football type thing, and this
It's like
guy's this
Speedball on the
expert.
Amiga.
Sort of, but it's
Yeah.
underwater, and it's the oddest sort of game, and then you get to play a game of Blitzball, but they've managed to make something which could potentially be quite fun, and I wonder how they'll do this into actually something that's extremely boring and turn-based and tedious and
Basically,
awful.
Final Fantasy in a nutshell.
Well,
I
yeah,
keep
I
saying that
mean,
because people like really love it. I'm not a fan at all, but yeah,
I think they could have made it a little bit more simulation, like the game of Blitzball in there. So you thought, oh, I hope I get to play another game of Blitzball where you're actually, passing the ball round rather than I don't know, just
the
it just
Blitzball ruined it
didn't
for
seem
them.
to. It really did actually,
Yeah,
and then it became quite hard after a good few hours in. So maybe I'll go back to it.
Yeah.
But then, as I said, we were talking earlier about how I've got back into my Xbox 360, and I'll be playing Tomb Raider and a lot of Modern Warfare 3, just because it's my Xbox 360 sort of my office where I work from at home. It's been,
Yeah.
every now and again a little bit of light relief, or at the end of the day I'll put that on for half an hour, and just have a few sort of games of
Yeah, Tomb Raider was great. It's one of my last
yeah.
games of the last few years. It's just like light years ahead of the old Tomb Raider games, which were, to be honest, a bit crap and overrated. Apart from maybe the first one, but yeah,
Well,
it's like
I mean, I've never ever been a fan of the Tomb Raider games,
no, they're
and
alright. They're alright,
and
but
I mean, you go back and play Tomb Raider 1 now, and there is nothing enjoyable about that game.
no, Lara especially is horrible to control.
It's
She wasn't
horrible, it's
great even
awkward,
then,
it's
I think.
lots of buttons, and
Yeah, you can't even pick up a scroll without literally, or a health kit without something directly over it. She is very difficult, and
it's
that used to piss me off.
and it's a difficult game to play, and
I mean, when
you
you think
know,
Mario 64 is the same
I,
gen, and Mario is perfect. There's no issue with controlling him at all, and that was the same year as Tomb Raider. And it's just like they're just worlds apart with the controls. You know, one is perfect, the other one's horrendous. Yeah, the new one is well, it's just Uncharted basically, but with Lara Croft and a really good story.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm looking forward to get really sort of stuck into that. And
Have you got to the bit where she yells, "I'm coming for you"?
what,
Yes, run, you bastards!
don't be, what are you doing? What are you doing? Stop ruining the story.
You're gonna love that.
Have you got to the bit where there's a twist?
You got to get to the bit where she yells out, "I'm coming for you, you bastards!" It's great in a really posh accent, being yelled at a load of people that are trying to kill her. That's the best moment in the game. You'll love that.
I'm looking forward to that bit
How
actually.
far in are you at the moment?
Probably not that far. Probably about
Yeah.
half an hour in, to be
All
honest.
right.
But of the half an hour I played it, I did enjoy that half an hour.
Have the quick time bits annoyed you?
No, no. It's quite a lot of you sort of die, but then it's quite good because it puts you back.
Yeah, the checkpoints are good. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all very sort of very close to each other, so it's all nice and easy. So
The ones in
it's not.
Uncharted used to have annoyed me because you'll have like a big cutscene where Nathan Drake gets thrown off a cliff, and all of a sudden the button will appear on the screen. Press this to grab onto the ledge, and you'll do it. Other times there'll be a similar cutscene where I get thrown off a cliff, but it will just do it on its own. It's just part you're just supposed to watch it. And then the next one you'd have to press a button again, but you're not prepared because the last time you didn't have to do it. That really annoys me. And The Last of Us does that, as well as you can do things in cutscenes that you can't do in the actual game, which also annoys me. Again, I'm talking about The Last of Us when you got like a clicker that normally will kill you straight away, but in a cutscene, Joel will grab it by the head and smack it against the wall, and I'm like, why can't I do that during the game? But anyway, that's just me ranting about cutscenes.
Well, that's all I've really been playing recently. I can't think of too much else.
And you got on, so you saw these in your store and just thought, well, there isn't Tomb Raider 3 at the moment, isn't it? On like Xbox
I did actually
Live Gold?
download it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't want to. I didn't want to say that, but yeah.
Yeah.
I did download it, and I thought it's quite good.
You must still see a lot of like last gen. Last gen must be like still 3/4 of the games that you see come through from.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, we have so much of it sort of traded in, and still not enough though. But we always want more traded
Never
in.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
What sort of proportion would you say is like really old, like pre PlayStation 2? Is that a very small part of your business? Is it mostly 360 PS3?
It's hard to say really.
Also, I mean, I don't want you to quote figures or anything, but just a vague sort of thought on.
I think probably retro is 20-25% of the turnover, maybe.
So like Mega Drive and SNES and all that.
Well, yeah, it'll be
good.
a bit of everything really. N64 and You
Yeah,
know, but it's one of those things. Some days it can be literally, it just felt that's all we sold. Then
yeah.
other days it's, you know, we go, we didn't really sell much retro, or we've not really done anything for a few days for retro wise, and
I mean, I
but
saw
then
your
it's used.
video where you had some of the retro channels on YouTube that I watch.
Mm.
They actually turned up to your store, and I was like, "You lucky git." You had like a
Yeah.
retro Dave, and I watch him from time to time. I don't think you've had Benway yet. You might have to persuade him to come down and
Nah,
do it on
yeah, I
video.
think.
I don't think he's into that though, unfortunately. So you think you struggle there, but you did you ask them all down, or did they just turn up
Well,
randomly, or?
no, they every so often they all sort of arrange to have a meet up, and I think it's the second or third time they've all come down, and they come to the shop, and I'll show them everything, open up all the cabinets, and they'll bring stuff in to trade in. But that retro Dave, he brought loads of stuff, and I think he wanted about 2.5 grand for all this stuff that he had,
Really?
and so I ended up doing a big list of, again, a price for everything, and he just picked and chose the stuff he wanted to trade in.
Yeah,
To be honest, it was.
he didn't
I
know he
think
was, did he?
he wanted a lot more than what
Yeah,
I was prepared to offer, and
that's fair enough.
so I was okay. Well, he picked out the stuff that he wanted to sell, the prices he was happy with, and it was all quite a long process, but you
Well, did
know
he sell
it.
you some stuff as well? So you got a bit. It was like a exchange as well.
Yeah, I think he did mostly cash, from what I remember, but it was all.
It's kind
Um,
of cool though to have one of those guys in the store. I take it he gave you a bit of a plug on his YouTube channel. He's got a fair few
yeah,
subscribers.
no, exactly. So, I mean, that's what we want them all talking about us and things like that, and then.
One of
I
these
mean,
days we'll get Ashens and all those people, all PewDiePie and all like the big guns, Review Tech USA turning up, and then that'll be like
do you know what? If Rich from Review Tech USA walked into the through the door,
maybe like
blimey now,
starstruck, wouldn't it?
I
Yeah.
wouldn't know what to say.
It would be
Uh,
ridiculous. He's probably my favourite because most of my views tend to coincide with his. Whereas some of the guys, are like Steve Benway, for example, he hates the Xbox because he doesn't
mm,
like Microsoft, and his rationale is, well, they're just a big greedy corporation. I'm like, well, Sony are as well. Just because they don't have Bill Gates in charge, doesn't mean they're some kind of really nice company that just make games for like fun. They do it because they want your money. So if you're going to be annoyed at someone who's going to like boycott a company for being greedy, you kind of have to do all of them, myself included. So yeah, I don't really agree with that. Rich, on the other hand, I tend to agree with most of the stuff he says because he's pretty
I
good.
think he can be a little bit. I have disagreed and put a few comments on there, not trolling him, but just saying my point of view and disagreeing with him.
Yeah.
And I can't really remember what I disagreed with him about. I can't remember what it was,
Well,
but
I
there
think
was.
I think you got him and then maybe the dude off Classic Game Room. I think Classic Game
Oh,
Room is
he's brilliant.
the ultimate
Yeah,
for retro video YouTube. What's his bloody name? Mark. Mark.
Mark.
Yeah. I think you got the GameSack guys, didn't you? That actually commented on your videos or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. We got a
They're
few
cool.
comments, and I think they're. Hope they're not listening to this, but I think they're running out of ideas for videos
Are they
each week
really? I
because they're
should buy
coming.
them.
I think the last one was, games by Data East, or
Yeah, they're really scraping the barrel.
and
Sega
and
after the Dreamcast, I think, was one that I watched recently, which was interesting. It was
and yeah,
basically look how crap the Sonic games have gone. Yeah.
exactly. And so I don't know. It's I think it might be good if they almost switched up their format a little bit and.
Yeah, I think the trouble is they tend to cover an entire genre or subject, so that means you end up doing 5 or 6 games in one
Mm,
go that you might have been able to do just one episode on a particular game, like the Angry Video Game Nerd, you know. So they're kind of
yeah.
sucking up all the big games in individual episodes, in which you could, you
So
know,
well, I mean, they do. What was it all like? Left in Japan, or
yeah, left in the
games
arcade or
from
whatever.
Europe, or
Yeah,
and you kind of get the feeling that they're I don't know. They're sort of running out of ideas like that, but it's still all very enjoyable. I still like watching it, and I
Yeah,
think they'll probably have a new video out tomorrow morning. Tomorrow being Sunday morning, I'm expecting
that's what
another
they're doing,
video
isn't it?
tomorrow
Yeah,
morning. So
yeah.
fingers crossed.
Hopefully they'll come and visit.
All right. Well, I'm going to go and play some Xbox 360 now. So
Got the craving for it since we've been talking about it.
I
Yeah,
have
you're right.
actually. Yeah.
There's no Uncharted for a 4 for a while, so we're gonna have to dig out the old ones to play to get the fix.
Exactly.
Cool. All right then. Well, thanks for listening. Those of you that have listened, and yeah, so we're gonna try for another one in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We're gonna stick to that as best we can. So yeah, you haven't seen that you'll be hearing a lot from us.
No problem. So please like, share, and subscribe.
And visit Playnation Games as well.
Yeah.
Search on YouTube, Playnation Games. You've got your own channel, haven't you, Stu?
PlayNation. Yes, that's it. PlayNation Games.
Playnation Games. Cool. Right. In that case, cheers and see you next time.
Cheers. West Side.
West Side.